there was a Conor McGregor fight. Come on now, you know we had to tune in and you know we had to come in here to talk about it right now. Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier, the third fight, the trilogy fight, took place at UFC 264. And even though the fight necessarily didn't live up to the full expectations, it was still an awesome scene, man. Start to finish with those two guys. I mean, from the time Conor walks in there, you could just tell he's chomping at the bit, extra excited, even tries to go over and confront Dustin as Dustin is getting entered into the octagon. I mean, it was a crazy little bit going on right there. But you know that Conor was going to give those antics that had been shown during the weigh-in show, that had been shown with their press conferences leading up to the fight. So the bad blood, you could see it looked more like the first fight between those two guys versus the second fight where we saw a more, humble, very friendly, jovial type of Conor. And I don't know, I mean, about y'all guys, but for me, it was kind of weird. I like this angry Conor. I like the Conor that talks smack to everyone, the bad guy, as he likes to put it. But then you get the fight started. And starts out, you see Conor going to the kicks like we saw him in the first fight, right? Because we know in that second fight, he was training for a fight against Pacquiao, and ultimately he came with a very boxing heavy approach. And ultimately, Dustin was able to use his leg kicks to minimize that attack and ultimately hurt him and then get the finish in the second round. So this go around, you see Conor taking more of an MMA approach, right? That mixed martial arts, you see him with the spinning kicks, really using his legs. And this is the part where, depending on who you want to believe and things like that, Dustin says that he checked one of the kicks that Conor was throwing earlier on in the first round, and he says he points at him. And they slow the tape down, they freeze frame it. You can see Dustin pointing at his leg when he did lift his leg up when Conor kicked it. Now it wasn't as clean of a check, but it still was a check. So typically, if you check a kick like that, bone on bone, yeah, you can get those type of breaks and fractures, but happened at the beginning. So we're thinking, hey, no big deal, right? Everything is good. Fight continues to go on. Now, Dustin surprised some people, man. Fight gets, Dustin's having a little bit of success on the feet, and he goes to shoot on Conor, and Conor ultimately goes for a guillotine. We're like, oh, okay. Is this submission city here? Are we getting Conor with a submission win? Ground game? What is this? Never seen it before, right? Might be the first submission attempt from Conor in his whole UFC career. I mean, I was dumbfounded by it. But then this is the part where you could hear the experts like Daniel Cormier talking about with the guy as credentialed in jiu-jitsu black belt, right? Or Brazilian jiu-jitsu, as a guy as decorated as Dustin Poirier is on the ground, you don't try to do that particular move at that particular point in that fight. And ultimately, that was the shifting of the tide in that first round. Because as soon as Conor went for that submission, Dustin clearly walks the cage, steps over to the other side, very fundamental with it, and then begins to take control. Now, Conor, he didn't lay on the ground and just take it, all right? Because we talked about that sometimes. We said at times, man, we don't know if we're going to get the Conor that's just going to lay there and give you a little head pat, or we're going to get a Conor that's trying to fight off the ground. This fight, Conor was trying to fight off the ground. Landed some nice elbows in there. Ultimately pissed off Dustin, and Dustin came back with some bombs. I mean, he hit Conor with some pretty good elbows. Two of the judges even had it as a 10-8 round as well. I mean, but Conor did at the end, they stood him back up, Herb Dean did. And then from there, this is where the gruesome city happens. This is where you get the two guys standing up. It's 10 seconds left. Okay, let's go for a little fisticuffs, right? Old-fashioned style. Shout out to my Irishmen, right? Both of the guys missed, but literally they missed. Conor goes to step back, and oh man, it looked like just Gumby bone break. And you see it as soon as it happens. You can see it. Conor goes down. He survives the last like 3 seconds, and as soon as the round is over, he's looking to Herb, and he's like, "Yo, my ankle or leg, whichever one." It looks more leg than ankle, but either way, it was pretty gruesome. It was a clean break, and yeah, the irony of it all, right? Before the fight, he says Dustin's gonna leave in a stretcher. Turns out he leaves in the stretcher. Can't make this stuff up, man. But going forward is going to be interesting because before the fight, Dana White had said that Dustin was going to, or not Dustin, whoever won this fight was going to fight for the title versus Charles Oliveira, right? Mr. Do Bronx, who just won the title when he beat Michael Chandler, right? So the way I can see this playing out, man, Dustin fights Charles Oliveira. Dustin beats Charles Oliveira. Year and a half, 2 years later, Conor has recovered. Dana already set the foundation when he says the fourth fight, they have to have a fourth fight. He says the trilogy can't end like this because Conor was very adamant about it being a doctor stoppage. Let me air quote that, doctor stoppage. So still got a little bit of room there. So I could easily see a scenario where Dustin wins this belt versus Charles, and then a year from now, he's defending that belt against Conor McGregor. And once again, Conor's back in that title conversation, as crazy as it is. Now, granted, we do have other very, very viable, very, very capable opponents, man. You think about a guy like Justin Gaethje, man. He is more than deserving of an opportunity, right? We could go down the list of other guys. I mean, even a guy like Tony Ferguson, who had a crazy long win streak. Now, obviously, his past two fights haven't been as successful for him, but still, he's a guy that you still would have to consider in terms of a potential fight or a contender fight. So it's a lot of options that they have right there. But for Conor, the thing with him is he sells. He sells majorly. I mean, we could talk about the amount of losses that he's had consecutively now, right? Or just the poor performances in his past 5 to 6 fights now. But as a whole, he still moves the needle when it comes to pay-per-view fights. And we all know that Dana White loves that. So even though the pure MMA fans, the purists of the sport, we don't think that Conor should get another title shot right away. He needs to go how Khabib would say, got to earn his way back up. We all know that Dana loves seeing those dollar signs with Conor. And if he can get a chance to have Conor fight Dustin Poirier for the 4th time for the light heavyweight belt, come on, man. Or excuse me, the lightweight belt. You know for a fact Dana's going to do that. But either way, man, let me know what y'all think, man. What were your thoughts on the fight? I know some people are saying that Conor still was going to win it. He was going to find a way. I know a lot of people said that, man, it was over because it was a 10-8 round. I will say this, though. Charles Oliveira, he was getting beaten that first round versus Michael Chandler. He came back and won in devastating fashion. We could talk about, oh my goodness, I'm drawing a blank on him. Oh, man. But it's plenty of guys. Oh, excuse me, here it is right here. Leon Edwards, that's who it is. Leon Edwards versus Nate Diaz, right? Leon dominated Nate for 4 rounds. Nate lands a crazy shot in the 5th, and that could have ended the fight. If Nate doesn't point, he actually attacks. So for people to say that the fight was going to get stopped in the 2nd round, Dustin was going to go out there and just continue and dominate, I don't believe that 100% because it's MMA and you never know what can happen. Literally one punch can change the fight. So that was my thoughts on it, man. But I'm not opposed to seeing those guys running back a 4th time. I just don't want to see it right away for the belt. But I do have a feeling that that's how it's ultimately going to be if Dustin can beat Charles. But like I said, let me know your thoughts on this fight. Let me know your thoughts on Conor's post-fight interview as well. It was very, very entertaining to say the least. Slightly disrespectful, with the utmost respect, of course. So, appreciate you for tuning in. And until next time, baby, peace.